Matthew 21, verse 22. And whatever things you ask in prayer, believing, you will receive. Well, I was in the Canadian Arctic, waiting for my flight home. We could hear the small plane approaching, but as so often happens in that hostile climate, a whiteout suddenly descended over our remote valley, and the plane couldn't land. We heard the sound of the engine retreating as the snow fell in persistent flurries. I went to the one desk in the small one-room airport, just a room, where I was told that I was not on the waiting list for the next 3 daily flights. I was on the waiting list for the 4th and the 5th day, and I had a seat reserved 6 days later if the weather didn't force more cancellations. Well, even despite all that negative stuff, the next morning I trudged down. Where I was staying was only a 15 minutes walk from the airport, and I trudged through the snow and presented myself to the skeptical staff. I wasn't on the waiting list, but I stood, resolved to see what would happen. 15 minutes before the flight had come in and was ready to go, 15 minutes before the departure, I approached the desk. The agent had a fixed expression and said if no one came to claim it in the next 10 minutes, there was 1 seat free for me. Well, those 10 minutes seemed to me like 10 hours. But at last he smiled and handed me the boarding pass. And I was first out of the shed and onto the plane. There were so many in my position, but I was the only one who asked and then waited patiently for the answer. My earnestness did not move the staff nor my pleading. I had no soul power to move them to give me a place. I had asked and could simply watch and wait for the outcome. Prayer is simply asking. We cannot influence the outcome by anything other than believing that we have been heard. Prayer is not an accumulation of soul power that is affected by intensity or numbers. The power of prayer is simply measured by the greatness and authority of the one we are talking to. Nothing and no one can resist his will. When he decides a thing, it is done. So ask, watch, wait for his smile, and your boarding pass. God bless you.